This conference will now be recorded.
So is my screen visible to you guys? Can someone please confirm?
Yes. Now I can see your screen.
Perfect. Right. So we talked about the basics of JavaScript. So today we'll talk about a little bit more about comparison operators. Okay. So what do we mean by comparison operator? So yesterday we just saw one example of comparison operator, which is this one, greater than sign. Right. Today we'll talk a little bit more. Why? Because this is something that we use very frequently in JavaScript. Okay. So I'll talk about some operators. So I'll create one more file. So how do we create a file in VS Code? It is very simple. Select the folder, click on this particular button which says new file, and I can give it any name. So for example, let me call it say for operators or something like that. Operators.js, and any JavaScript file always ends with .js extension. JS stands for JavaScript. And if I hit enter, you also see JavaScript written over here, which means we are looking into a JavaScript based file. Okay, so let us talk about comparison operators. Right. So what do I mean by comparison operators? Basically, they compare values from the left hand side as well as the right hand side, and it always returns a Boolean value. When I say it returns a Boolean value, it means it is going to return either true or false. Right. So Boolean values, as I've talked about in my previous classes, there are only two values that are supported in Boolean data type. It is only true or false. While if we talk about number data type, it supports infinite values. Why? Because it can contain all the positive numbers and as well as all the negative numbers. But Boolean supports only true or false. There is no third value. Okay. So let us take some more examples of about comparison operators. So we have something like this, which stands for greater than. Right. Okay. I'll write like this star. If you remember, I talked about this block level comment. So whatever I'll type inside, everything will be turned into a comment, right? This is like a single line comment, and this is like a block level or multi-line comment. Okay, so this stands for greater than, right? And then we have something called as less than, right? It is very simple. I'll just talk about it quickly. So this is something called as greater than and equal to, and then similarly we have something called as less than or equal to, and then this we have an operator like this. This is extremely important. I'll talk about this in depth. Double equal to, and then we have something called as triple equal to, and opposite of this is what we have something like this, not equal to, and opposite of triple equal to is what, not double equal to. So this is what we'll be covering, which is very important. So I'll talk about this. This stands for what? This stands for equality. I'll write here. So this is equality. Triple equal to is what? Strict equality. You may not understand it. Don't worry. I'll explain you in depth what do I mean by this double equal to operator and what is triple equal to operator. At the moment, I'm just trying to make you familiar what all operators we do have, right? And then this not and single equal to sign is what? This is not equal to. So this not equal to is exactly the opposite of this equality, and this not double equal to is the exact opposite of this strict equality. So what do I write? It is strict not equal. Okay, so comparing values is something that is extremely important in making decisions. For example, if I want to calculate if 10 is greater than 1, how do I write it in JavaScript? It is very simple. I'll write like this. It means if 10 is greater than 1, it is going to return true, or if 10 is less than 1, then it is going to return false. It is as simple as that. Right. So I can show you like this. So I'll go to Google. So I've talked about in my previous classes the best way or the fastest way to run any JavaScript code is simply go to console and type the code here. See, 10 greater than 1, it is returning true. So any comparison operator always returns either true or false. So there is no third value. One more example, let's say I want to check if 0.2 is greater than 0.3. Of course, this is smaller, right? So that is why it is returning false. Again, it is quite simple, right? And suppose if I try to do something like this, 99 greater than or equal to 99. Now, 99 is not greater than equal to 99, but 99 is definitely equal to 99. So this part, this equal to part doesn't pass, but this equal to, right? This part passes. That is why it is returning true. Either of these conditions is passing, right? So It is not common thing, but we can even compare strings. But this is something that we'll not cover. Why? Because they are not really used as such, right? So I hope this particular part is now clear. So I can take one more example about strings this time. For example, let me do something like this. This is something I've already covered. See, I'm trying to cover this hello is a string. Why it is a string? Because I am using double quotes. I'm wrapping this word or text inside double quotes, so it means it is a string in JavaScript. And using length operator, I am finding out how many characters it has. Basically, what is the length? So what is the length? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this hello string has a length of 5. And then what I'm checking is if it is greater than or equal to this string. It looks like a similar string, but it has this additional character which is exclamation sign. So this is length of 5, while this has a length of 6 now because of this additional exclamation character. So 5 is greater than or equal to 6. This is not true, right? That is why it is returning false. Okay, so again it gives only two values, either true or false. Now we are going to talk about equality, which is what? Double equal to, which is equality. Okay, so this is something that is little not I won't say it is confusing, but this is actually very important to understand. So there are actually two versions of equality. One is double equal to, and then we have something called as triple equal to. Okay, and we always use triple equal to, and we should never ever use double equal to. I'll talk about what are they, right? So in the case of double equal to, what really happens is it simply checks this double equal to. It simply checks for the equality of value, but it does not check the equality of type. I'm just talking about the definition, and I'll show you in theory, practice basically, practical, right? For now, just try to understand. And this double equal to, there's a biggest drawback of double equal to, that it actually forces both values to the same type and then it compares them, which can lead to some unexpected results. Okay, so let me give you some practical examples of this double equal to. Suppose if I do something like this, if I want to do 4 double equal to 4, and I do this, I get true. It means it's very simple. I'm just checking if this number 4 is equal to 4, right? So how do I do it? I cannot use single equal to, because single equal to means assignment operator. And assignment operator is used when I want to pass a value which is on the right hand side to this variable on the left hand side. So this single equal to is assignment operator. But the moment I use double equal to, it means I'm trying to check if this variable that is already declared somewhere above, if it is equal to 4. Okay, but it does not check if the type of a is also same as 4. For example, a can be string, this can be number, so types are different, right? In that case, JavaScript simply ignores the type. It simply checks for the value, while this triple equal to also checks for the type as well, right? So again, we can take a very simple example. Now if I try to do like this, 5 double equal to 5, this is true. And if I try to do like this, see, 5 double equal to, not numeric 5, I'm trying to do string 5 actually. So this double equal to is actually returning true, which is definitely not true. How can a number is actually same as string? Which is not correct, right? Why it is happening? Why I'm getting this true? Because this double equal to, in this case, it simply checks for the value. So the values are same, which is 5. But if I check for the types, this has a type of what? Number. This is a type of what? String. How do I find the type? I was telling you yesterday. Using type of operator, I can find the value type of any number. For example, type of 5 is number. If I do type of 5 as a string, now it is string. So is number same as string? Definitely not, right? But in the case of double equal to, we don't check for the type, we only check for the number. And that is why it is returning true. But if I really want to be more strict, I just talked about we have something called as strict equality. So what this triple equal to actually does, it not only checks for the value, it also checks for the type as well. What do I mean by this? I'll simply clear the console and I'll hit enter and I'll clear it again. So if I'll do like this, 5 triple equal to 5. Okay, so it is returning me true. Why? Because I'm checking the value. Of course, values are same, but the types are also same, because both of these fives are actually numbers, because they are not having any single or double quotes. Okay, right. And then if I do something like this, 5 triple equal to string of 5. Now it is returning false. Why? 5 is same as 5, but the type of 5 is number while the type of this 5 is string, and they are not same. That is why we are getting this false. But if I do like this, if I'll remove this 1, now it is returning true. So that is what I was telling you. Ideally, we should never ever use double equal to. Why? Because it is not stricter. So ideally, we should always use the strict equality, which checks for both the value as well as the type. Right. In case if you guys have any questions, please do ask me, or else I can proceed forward, because this is something that is extremely important and very frequently used concept, not just in JavaScript but during Cypress automation as well. Okay. Any questions, guys, or should I move on? Okay. So looks like this particular. Yeah, somebody is saying something.
No questions. You can go.
Okay, perfect. So you guys are able to understand, right? Okay, right. And I'm trying to be a little slow so that you guys should be able to understand in a lot depth. Okay, so one rule of thumb is like always use strict equality operator and never ever use double equal to. Okay, so this is particular thing is now fine. Similarly, we have something called as this one, not equal to, and then we have exactly same as strict not equal to. So if you have understood about these two things, then it means that you have also understood about these two also. Why? Because not equal to is exactly same as this one. It simply checks for the value but not the type. But ideally, just like how we want to go with this triple equal to, same way we want to go with this not double equal to, which is strictly not equal to, which checks both the value as well as the type. Okay, so I hope this particular part is now clear. And then we are moving on to something which is again very important, and that is truthy and falsy values. When I looked at the JavaScript for the very first time, it was really confusing topic for me, but I'll try to make it very, very simple for you. So in JavaScript, all values are actually truthy. I'll write it for you. All the values are truthy, or in simple words, true values. Okay. So there are just how many? There are total 6 falsy values in JavaScript. There are a total of, I'll explain you what do I mean by truthy and falsy values. For now, just try to understand. So there are a total of 6 falsy values in JavaScript. What are these falsy values? The very first is what? False. Then we have value as 0, and then we have something called as empty string. Empty string means either double quotes but nothing is there. This is not an empty string. Why? Because it has a blank space here. I'll have to remove this blank space also. So when these two quotes are joined together, or when we have two single quotes joined together, this is like an empty string. Okay. And then we have something called as null, which is also falsy value. We have one more, which is undefined. And finally we have something called as nan, and NaN stands for not a number, and this N and last N is like capitalized. So we have only 6 falsy values in JavaScript, and every other value is like what? It is a truthy value. What do I mean by this? I'll give you a very simple example. Let's say I'm creating a variable called mystery using this let keyword, right? And this is my variable name. Okay, and I'm using this assignment operator. Assignment operator does what? Whatever value I'm writing on the right hand side, suppose I'm using this value as 5, so this value 5 will be assigned to this particular variable called mystery. Or in simple words, assume that we are having a box, we are naming this box as mystery, and we are putting a value of 5. That is what it means, right? It is very simple. And then what I'm trying to do now, I want to have a decision making statement, right? I want to have a check. If the value of mystery is, let's say, 5, then do something, or if it is not 5, then do something else. For example, if today is Sunday, I may sleep late till in the morning, but if it is not Sunday, right, I'll have to get up early by 8. So this is like a decision making statement. Similarly, if the value of mystery is what, how do I check? I can simply write mystery, and I can write like this: console.log. I can write truthy. I'll explain you this code. Let me write it first. So this is truthy, and then what I can also do, else console.log, I can write falsy. Okay, what do I mean by this? So this is basically an if condition in JavaScript, which does what? If this condition is true. So in if condition, we always write a Boolean statement, right? It means it has to return either a true or a false. So if it is true, then this console.log will get executed. but if it is not true, then the code inside this else part gets executed, which is this one. So always remember that we can either run this part or we can run this part. Just like today can be either Monday or Tuesday, but it can never be both Monday and Tuesday, right? Similarly, we can either execute this if part or we can execute this else part. Now, how do I execute? It depends upon this condition, whatever we are passing in this condition. So what's the value of mystery here, which is 5? So JavaScript, what it will do internally, it will be replacing mystery with 5, like this. So what do we mean by this 5? Is 5 a truthy value or falsy value? Now, what we'll have to do is simply check if 5 is a part of any of these lists, right? So what will happen is, since 5 is a part of this list, it is not a part of this list, right? So automatically 5 becomes a truthy value, right? But if 5 was a part of this list, then the answer would be falsy, right? Any questions, guys? This is something that is slightly tricky initially. No questions? Should I move on?
So sir, in this case, if block will run, right?
Exactly. Why? Because if you look at 5, just look at all these falsy values. Always write these falsy values somewhere. Otherwise, you'll not remember them. Even I tend to forget some of these values. So simply see, is 5 any of these values? No. 5 is not false, 5 is not 0, 5 is not empty string, not null, not undefined, not any. So it means 5 is truthy. Why? Because all the values are truthy except these 6 values. So it means this 5 is a true or truthy value, and this condition is true, so this part will be executed. I'll show you. So if I'll select this code, I'll click on this play button. So in the case of Alok, so I've actually in my previous classes I've talked about how do we get this play button in the VS Code. For that we need a particular extension. So in your case, please go to the previous videos and you'll understand. So I'll click on this play button, and you see now I get the output as truthy, right? But suppose if I do like this, if mystery is, let's say, 0. Now 0 is a part of this list, right? So it means this mystery is actually going to return a falsy value. Falsy value means false. So when the condition is false, this part never runs and this part is going to run. So if I'll select this and if I'll clear my console, I'll click on the play. This time I'm getting the value as falsy. So this is an extremely important concept. I try to make it very, very simple for you, but of course, you'll need a little bit more of practice. Please do try to write this code yourself, because the moment you'll write the code yourself, your brain will start thinking more. And of course, you may get some more questions that you may not get at this particular moment, right? Because you are seeing me write the code, but when you'll write the code yourself, you will actually learn a lot. Okay, so I hope this particular part is now clear, right? So I can take one more example. Let's say I'm creating a variable called logged in user, and I'm giving it a value called, let's say, my name, say Piyush. I like my name. So if I do like this, if logged in user, so you will see this kind of code very frequently in your Cypress automation frameworks and all, right? But then a lot of beginners usually get confused. This this is a name, this is a string. How it can be either truthy or falsy values? It should be either true or false, right? But as I've told you, everything is truthy except these 6 values, right? So what I'm trying to do is, if this condition is true, then what I need to do is console.log. I'm telling the user you're logged in, okay? And or else, if this part, if this condition doesn't satisfy, in the case of false, then I can do like this, you're not logged in. So what should be the output? I'll select this code, I'll clear my console, I'll click on the play button, and see you are logged in. So basically this if part gets executed. Why? Because this condition is true. So if the condition is true, always this if part gets executed and this else part never gets executed, right? So it is very simple. If this, then do this, or else do this. So either this will get executed or this will get executed, but you will never see like this, that this is getting executed and this is also getting executed. This never happens, whether it is JavaScript or Java or Python or whatever programming language. So this concept is something that is fundamental to programming and not specific to JavaScript. I hope this part is now clear. Okay, so let us move on and we'll talk about some logical operators. What do you mean by logical operators? So basically they actually Depending upon the logic, it either returns true or false. And I'm pretty sure you must have heard about these operators. For example, and. You must have heard about or operator. And then finally, we have something called as not, right? So this is something that we all must have learned as a kid, right? So and operator is represented in JavaScript by double ampersand. Where is this double ampersand? Just above the 7 key, right? And this or is represented by these pipes. Where do I get these pipes? Just above the enter key you have these pipe symbol. So how do I type? Simply type shift and this. So this is the pipe symbol, and I need to draw two pipes, just like how I need to draw two ampersand for this and. So how do I represent or in JavaScript? Using these pipes, because JavaScript does not understand this or and it understands this part. That is why I have to write the code in a way that JavaScript should be able to understand. So this is what is meaning of keyword. This is something that JavaScript understands. This if condition is something JavaScript understands, right? I cannot write any line that I understand. It is about making the computer understand what I'm trying to do, and not as like using the exclamation sign, which is what? Which is the key just above 1, right? So these are the three logical operators. So initially we'll start with and operator. And operator is what? Double ampersand, right? So what does this double ampersand do? It means if I'm having one condition on the left hand side of this ampersand and one condition on the right hand side of ampersand, both of these conditions have to be true. See, the name is itself is and. When the left hand side condition is true as well as the right hand side condition is true, then only it returns true. For example, I'll show you here. So I'll go to Google, I'll clear my console, right? And I'll do like this. If 1 is less than 4, okay, it always, when I use these two operators, they always should be without a space, right? So 1 less than equal to 4, of course, it is true, right? And then what I'm trying to do is double ampersand, right? So this is my condition on the left. This condition has to be true, and whatever condition I'm writing on the right hand side, it also has to be true. Then only this entire statement is going to return true. So what I'm trying to check, let's say I'm trying to check if this a is triple equal to a, another string. Now this a is actually equal to this a, right? So this part is going to return what? True. And 1 is also less than 4, so this part is also returning true. So what is happening is true double ampersand true is going to return what? True. Because if this is true and this is also true, then double ampersand, which is and operator, it is going to return what? True. So this is the meaning of and operator. One more example, which is very simple. Let's say, is 9 greater than 10? No, right? So that is why it is returning false. And if I use double ampersand again, and I'm writing one more condition on the right, for example, 9 greater than equal to 9. Now, if you see, this part is false, but this part is true. Why this part is true? Because 9 is not greater than 9, but 9 is definitely equal to 9, right? So this condition is returning true while this condition is returning false. So what is happening is false double ampersand of true, right? Which is what? It is returning false. Both of these conditions, left hand side condition as well as right hand side condition, should be true. Then only this and or this double ampersand operator, it returns true. I hope this particular part is now clear, right? So if it is false left hand side, and on the right hand side if it is false, it is going to return false. So when it is true on either side, whether it is on the left hand side or right hand side, doesn't matter. Both of these conditions have to be true, then only it should return true, right? So let us talk about the or operator now. How do I use this or operator? Using these pipes, as I've told you. But this or operator works very differently than and, right? In this particular case, I've shown you both of these conditions have to be true, then only it returns true. But in the case of or operator, either of these conditions needs to be true. So if this is true or this is true, then it is going to return true. Both of these conditions don't need to be true actually. So again, I'll use the same example, right? I'll do this. I'll use the up arrow key. So in the console, I don't have to type the same code again. If I want to refer to the same code again, I can keep on pressing the up arrow key. See, I'm pressing the up arrow key and I'm getting this code. If I'll press the up arrow key again, I'll see the previous code that I've written before it. One more up arrow key, I'll see this output. So this is pretty handy actually, right? So in this case, it is going to return false. Why? Because both these conditions need to be true, right? Now I'll use the up arrow key again, and instead of ampersand, I'll use these pipes. Now see, it is returning true. Why? Because Either if this is true or this is true, it is going to return true. Both sides need not be true. If they are true, if both of them are true, that is also okay, but one of them has to be true. So that is the difference between double ampersand and this or, right? So it is very, very simple. Next, let us move on to this not operator. So not operator is like a switch, right? So if you look at the
So Piyush,
switchboard, yes, please.
yeah, sorry to interrupt you.
No, no, that's okay. Was yeah,
Yeah,
Ganesh, please go on.
now we have two conditions here, right? And
Right.
if suppose we have I mean, greater than two conditions in front of us, so in that
Mm-hmm.
case, what would be the output there?
I didn't get you. Can you please come again?
Now here you have given the two conditions, right?
Right. This is my condition
Uh,
one. This is my condition
nine.
two.
Then if
Right.
suppose we have the conditions more than two, then what
Okay.
would be the output in that case? I mean, how
Okay. This is
the
interesting
behave?
actually. Right. In
Mhm.
that case, we can combine these conditions. Okay,
Okay.
because here operator precedence will come into picture. I'll talk about this in just a short while actually. Right. But for now, I wanted to cover this logical OR operator, but this is a very valid question. Right. So if there are multiple conditions, I can tell you right now. For example, one is OR, and after this OR, I can write one ampersand also. In that case, I'll tell you right away, this ampersand has a higher precedence or priority than this one. That is why this will get executed first and then secondly this will get executed. But if you want to change the priority, you can use these parentheses like I was talking about yesterday, right? So if you remember, here I think I was talking about this particular code, right? So if you look at this and this division operator and multiplication operator have the same priority, right? In this case, so what should happen? So this JavaScript is going to evaluate them from left to right, but this is not what I want. I wanted to multiply this height with the same height first. I want to basically do the square first and then I want to divide it. So for that, in order to change the operator precedence, I use these brackets. I hope you got it right. So this is how I can change the operator precedence by using these brackets. Or in simple words, in English, we learned in India, we actually learned this concept called BODMAS. This one. You remember? Bracket of, then division, then multiplication, then addition, subtraction. In US, we have
Right.
something called as PEMDAS. P stands for parenthesis. I don't remember what does E stands for. Then it is multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. So it is quite similar actually. I hope this particular answers your question, right?
Yeah, got it.
Perfect. So let us talk about null. So, sorry, not null. This is the not operator. So not operator what? It simply toggles the value. For example, if you simply turn the switch off, right? So it is if it is currently on, and if you press the switch, then it does what? It turns the switch from on to off. But if it is already off, and now if you turn the switch, right? Since it is already off, then it turns to on. So what does this not do? It simply changes true to false or false to true. What do I mean by this? If I'll talk about this, I just talked about what are truthy and falsy values, right? So if you see, these are the 6 falsy values. Let me pick any one of these falsy values. For example, let me pick null. I'll come back to this console, I'll clear it, and if I'll do like this, not of null. What is the meaning of this? It is returning true. Why? Null is a falsy value. So what I'm actually doing is not a false. I'm actually toggling this value. If it is false, it is returning true now. And if it is true, then invert it or basically just do the opposite, which is what? False. I hope this particular part is very, very simple actually. Right. So one more example. If I do like this, is 0 equal to 0? This is true, right? But if I do like this, how can I use not operator here with this? We cannot use not operator like this. In that case, not operator is actually applied to this 0, but not to this entire expression. But if I want to add this to an entire expression, again, coming to the same question that you were asking Ganesh, right? I can use these parentheses so that this part gets executed first, and then whatever is the output or whatever is the answer, then toggle it. So 0 is triple equal to 0 is what? It is going to return true because both of these values are same. Their types are also same. So this triple equal to a strict equality is going to return what? True. And not of true is what? False. I hope this particular part is clear. If you still have even a 1% doubt, please do ask me. This is an extremely important concept. So not operator is going to operate on a single expression and it returns true if the expression is false. So null is a falsy value, as I've just told, right? So not of null is true. Similarly, not of 0 is what? This is also true because 0 is itself a falsy value. How do I know? 0 is a part of this list, right? That's why. So not of 0 is what? True. Not of false is true. Not of empty string is also true because all of these are falsy values. So if I use not operator with any of these 6 values, I will get the output as true. Okay. And if I use, let's say, not of 5, I'm getting false. Why? For 5 is what? 5 is a truthy value because 5 is not a part of this list. It means it is true. So not of true is what? False. It simply inverts. If it is true, make it false. If it is false, make it true. I hope this part is clear. Right? Any questions, guys? Okay. So let's talk about operator precedence, or in other words, operator priority. So this part, whatever I'm teaching so far, if you are completely new to automation testing or completely new to programming or JavaScript, all of these concepts might look like a lot. You might feel a little overwhelmed also. You might feel this is too much to learn. But trust me, it is not difficult with practice. Because few years back, I was exactly like you. I was also a manual tester, right? But with little bit more of practice and with determination, I actually became an automation tester. And now I think I'm a pretty good trainer too, right? So if I can get this confidence, I think you can also do the same, right? Just requires a little bit of belief on your side. Okay, so let us talk about operator precedence. So as I've told, these are three operators, logical operators, right? If we talk about the precedence, right, so not has the highest precedence. I don't know why I keep writing then and break the spelling mistake. Okay, so this not has a higher precedence than both or and. Okay, do I have to remember it? Not really, but if you remember, I showed you one table yesterday. So if you'll keep that table handy, so it will become very simpler. So not operator has a higher precedence than both the and as well as or operator. And if we talk about these two operators, so in this case, and has a higher precedence, or in other words, and has a higher priority than the or operator. Okay, but you can alter it. How? You can alter it using parentheses or these. Like I've shown you good number of examples. Using parentheses, we can change the priority. For example, this is one example. We can change the priority, right? We also saw one more example. Using these parentheses, we have changed the priority, right? I want this to be executed first because I've told you, right? Not has a higher priority, right? I don't want this not of 0 to be done together. I want this to be executed first. That is why I'm putting a parenthesis. So parenthesis means whatever is inside the parenthesis, do that first, and then whatever is the output, then invert it. So this is the meaning of operator priority. Okay, so let us take a very simple example and I'm sure it will be clear. So I can do something like this. Let me clear the console. I will write, let's say, x equal to 7. Okay, so I'm creating a variable called x, and using this assignment operator equal to, I'm passing this value 7 into x. Okay, and what I'm doing is I'm doing x double equal to 7 or x triple equal to 3. Okay, I'll put a space. So you see, if I'll not put a space, the code becomes a little ugly to read, right? That is why if we have one space like this, then this code looks pretty nice to read. So that is why putting proper spacing is extremely important, right? So I think one space is actually good. And then now see, I'm using both the or as well as and operator. And I think this is exactly what Ganesh was asking. If we have one more condition or one more operator like this, so what should happen? So this is what we are covering now. So in this particular case, should this get executed first or this get executed first? This is the question, right? But as I've told you earlier, and operator or this double ampersand has a higher precedence. This part is going to get executed first, and this will be executed, and then whatever is the output, this will be executed, right? But if you don't remember this operator precedence, then it becomes a little hard to read this, right? So in order to be very specific, I know that this part is going to be executed, but just to be more clear, I can use these parentheses also. This is clearly telling that this part has to be executed first, and then I'm using an OR operator with this. So I can of course remove these parentheses and it is going to give me the same output. But using these parentheses is making what? Is making my output, basically it is making my code more readable. Anyone who is reading the code, he will understand it. Okay, this part is actually being executed first because of these parentheses. Okay, so x triple equal to 3 is what? This is false, right? And then and what it is returning? X greater than 10. Is 7 greater than 10? No, right? So again, this is going to return what? False. Now x double equal to 7, this is going to return what? True. So true or false. And since it is OR operator, I'm getting this true. But if it was also AND, then it would have returned what? False. Because if one part is falsy, doesn't matter what the second part is. It has to be falsy, right? So this is the how we can say about the operator precedence. So let us move on, and now we are going to talk about something called as a ternary operator. Again, this is something that is very frequently used in JavaScript. What I'm talking about? Ternary operator. As the name itself, ternary operator means there's an operator that runs on three sides or three things. Okay, so I'll write the syntax first and then I'll make you understand what do I mean by ternary operator. So I'll write a condition like this and I'll use this question mark, which is a compulsory in the case of ternary operator. So I'll write a Boolean condition here. I'll put a space just to make it more readable. Put a question mark, again put a space, and then I'll write expression if true. And then I'll write expression if false. I'm pretty sure you will not be able to understand just by looking at it. So what is happening is, so if there's an if and else condition, I can actually take that if and else statement and turn it into a single line of code using this ternary operator. Okay, now why it is called ternary operator? Because it has three pieces. What are these three pieces? So if you look at this question mark, this is one piece, and then we have this colon. So question mark and one, oh sorry, this question mark and this colon is like two separators. So on the left hand side of question mark is a condition which is one piece. After this question mark and before this colon is the second piece, and then after this colon is the third piece. Okay, so what is happening is, if whatever Boolean condition I'm writing here, if it is true, then this part gets executed, or if it is not true, then this part gets executed. Can you see this is very similar to this if and else statement? So if this part gets executed, or basically if this condition returns true, then execute this part, or else if it is not true, if this condition is false, then execute this part. So this is exactly same as if and else condition, but if you see, if and else condition is written in how many lines? 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. But we can write the same thing in a single line of code using this ternary operator. So now you may wonder, should I use this one, this option, or should I go with ternary operator? It is very simple. Go with that option that you are comfortable with. So when as a beginner, you will find this option more simpler and more readable. But as you start progressing from beginner to you can say intermediate or advanced JavaScript developer, you will move on from this to this. Why? These are 5 lines of code versus we have 1 line of code, which is even more simpler to read, right? So I can make it very, very simple for you, right? So let us take a simple example. Let me create a variable called num and I am assigning a value called 2, right? So I have created a variable called num which has a value of 2. Now I'll write an if and else condition first, and then I'll convert the same if and else condition into this ternary operator so that you can clearly understand what is ternary operator. Okay, so I'm having an if condition. Basically, I'm in JavaScript, I'm trying to make some decision making here. So what I'm trying to do, if this num is triple equal to, let's say 7, right? And I know num is 2, so this 2 is not equal to 7. So I'll use triple equal to here. Then I want to do something. So what do I want to do something? Let's say I'll write console.log lucky. Some people call 7 as an unlucky number, but let's okay. So I'll do like this. Or else, if this condition is not true, then do this. In that case, what I'll write console.log and I'll write bad. Okay, so it is very simple. I'll simply select this piece of code and I'll click on the play button, and you see the output as bad. Why do I get the output as bad? Because 2 is not equal to 7. So basically 2 not equal to 7 is going to return what? False. And if condition has a false, right? So this if part doesn't get executed and this else part always gets executed. That is why I get this output as bad, right? Now, how can I actually convert this into a ternary operator? It is very, very simple. Now see this condition question mark. What is my condition in this? This is my condition, right? Num triple equal to 7. So I'll copy this and then what I have to write? This question mark with a space. Okay. And then what I have to do? Expression if true, colon, expression if false. What is the expression I want to execute here? This is my expression here. So I'll write it like this. And then I have to write this colon here. So I'm breaking it down step by step so that it becomes very, very simple for you. And here we have to write expression if false. So I'll do what? I'll copy this and I'll paste it here. So basically what I'm doing is it is exactly same as if and else condition. If this condition returns true, then execute this. In this ternary operator, execute this. If this condition is false, then execute whatever is there after this column, which is this one. Okay, so that is what the ternary operator is. So it makes your if and else condition into one line. So this is like an, in simple words we can say this is a one liner if and else condition, but you will not see if and else here, right? You will see this question mark and this colon, which means it is a ternary operator. All right, so we can even use ternary operator to assign some value to a variable, right? So this is something that is important. So I'll take one more example to make it very much clear for you. So let me create another variable called status, and what I'm doing is I'm assigning a value, say offline, to this variable which is called status. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm creating one more variable called color, and I'm not assigning any value. So here I'm assigning a value, but this color is not getting any value. It means by default what should be the value? I've already told you. If I'm not assigning any value to a variable, by default it will take the value as what? Undefined, right? So I was telling you, I think yesterday or something, right? So we have a couple of these data types, right? So if I'm not giving any value to a variable, it takes this undefined, and it is in small case. This null is also, yeah, I was just explaining about these data types, so that is why I'm using these upper cases. But the actual data type is undefined, actual is null, right? Okay, so I've created two variables, which is status and color. What I'm trying to do is, if the value of status is offline, for example, so I'll do like this. I'll copy this. I inside this if I cannot use equal to. Why? Because equal to is assignment operator. I want to do something here so that it should return either true or false, because if requires only a boolean condition. So I have to use either double equal to or triple equal to. And as I told you, we should never use double equal to because it is not strict. So we want to be very strict. So that is why I have to do like this. If status triple equal to offline. So sometimes in JavaScript, right, status is kind of an keyword, right? In that case, I can make it status one because you are seeing this strike through, and now this should go away, right? So if I use the status one triple equal to offline, I want to assign the value of this color to red. So if I do like this, color equal to red, not like this, it has to be in single quote or double quote, like this. Okay, or else if this part, or if this if condition doesn't match, what I want to do is, instead of red, let me give it any other value. For example, I want to give it, say, color as what? Green, right? So this is my if and else condition. And now if I'll do console.log of color, what should be the output? Depending upon if this if condition ran successfully, then it should be red, or if this else part ran successfully, then it should be green. But in our case, status one is offline, so this part is actually true, so I should see the output as red. How do I know? Simply run it. I'll select all of this and I'll click on the play button, and see, I get the output as what? Red, right? Sometimes we see the previous output also. In that case, I can simply clear the console and then I can rerun it. I'll see only the current output, which is not cleared automatically. To clear it, I have to click on this one, right? So I see the output is red, but you see, I've written so many lines of code. How can I turn it to a ternary operator? It is very simple. And I was talking about, we can use ternary operator to assign value to a variable. How do I do that? I can do like this. let color equal to, okay, I'll have to comment this piece of code, okay, otherwise it will throw an error. So this is an if and else condition. I'm converting this if and else condition into this ternary operator. How do I do that? Simply do like this, let color equal to, okay, I'll copy this ternary operator syntax so that it becomes easier for you guys. This is the syntax. Okay, I'll remove this. Yeah, so what is my condition here? This is my condition. Okay, I'll write it like this. So this is my condition. Just ignore this part for now, right? Just see this condition question mark. So this is my condition here, right? And then what I need to do, I need to put a question mark. I'll put a space, put a question mark, again a space. What I need to do, I need to write the expression that I want to execute when this condition is true, which is what? This condition, color equal to red, right? So what I can do, I can simply do this, red. And then expression if false is what? I use column, and I can do green, right? So can you see? I have converted this if and else condition into one line, and I'm actually assigning this value to this color variable. And if I do like this, console.log of color, and yeah, again, if you're a beginner, you might find it a little hard to read, right? But with a little bit more practice, then you'll be able to understand this syntax and you'll start using it even more frequently than this if and else, right? So as a beginner, it's okay to use this if and else. Nothing is wrong. But as you grow a little advanced, then you start appreciating this particular syntax. So let me select it till here, and then I'll clear the console and I'll click on this play. See, again, I get the same output, which is red. So this one liner code is exactly same as this, right? So as an automation developer, right, we don't have to write just good code. We have to write the code that is advanced, and it should be optimized, and it should be easy to read. Not just we should be able to understand, but other people who can look into our code, they should also be able to understand, right? So this is the responsibility of an automation developer, right? So with this, we have learned a lot about controlling the program flow, right? And I'll do a quick summary for you guys so that you should be able to understand a little better. And yeah, I will keep on repeating some concepts again and again. Why? Repetition is the mother of all learning. If you think that just by learning the concept once and then not revising it again is going to help you, it is definitely not, because we are not robots or AI. We'll have to keep on reinforcing the same concept again and again till it actually gets into our DNA. Okay, so repetition is the mother of all learning. This is a very important concept, and always remember that. Not just related to Cypress, any new thing that you want to learn in life. Okay, so we just learned what? We learned that all the comparison operators, they return what? They return a Boolean value. They return either true or false, right? So all of these comparison operators, they return either true or false. And then we learned what? They are true versions of equality. One is double equal to, and then we have triple equal to, right? So we should always use double equal to? No, we should always use triple equal to. Why? Because it is strict equality. It does what? It checks value as well as the type. While this double equal to, it only checks for the value and ignores the type, which can cause problems. That is why we should never use this equality. We should always use triple equality. Okay, right? And then we have learned about what? We learned about truthy and falsy values, right? So we have 6 falsy values, which are these: false, 0, this is what? Empty string, null, undefined, and nan. Except these 6 falsy values, everything, any possible value in JavaScript is a truthy value, right? And they are used what? They are used in decision making statements here, which is if and else condition. And then we also learned about logical operators, which is what? And or and not. And is like double ampersand, or is these pipes, and not is this exclamation part, right? And this and operator, it returns true only when the left hand side condition as well as the right hand side condition both returns true. But in the case of or, if left hand side condition is true or the right hand side condition is true, it simply returns true, right? Either of these conditions have to be true, either the left one or the right one. But if both are false, then it returns false. If either of them is true, then it returns true. But in the case of and, both of these conditions, both left and right, have to be true, right? And then we have something called as this not operator, which does what? It simply inverts the value, true to false and false to true. Right. So I hope this particular part is now clear. And with this, our controlling program flow is now done. So we are done with today's topic. Any questions, guys? Anything? Because we are done for today's topic. And then next, what I want to teach you is I want to teach you a very new concept called as arrays now. But this is a completely new topic, right? So I'll cover it on Monday. But before that, I would like to ask you any questions or anything you'd like to ask me. Anyone? I see a couple of people. Sana, Seema,
Can
Nick.
you give us some kind of assignment which include all these concepts so that we can
Mhm.
practice in the weekend, and if we
Okay,
have any doubt or problems, then we can get back to you on Monday.
definitely. Yes. In fact, like, I actually wanted to give you this assignment only. But what I feel is like just giving assignments is of no use. Why? Because majority of people they don't attempt it. Right. So this
No,
was actually an
don't give us
assignment that I wanted to
assignment.
share.
Don't give a simple assignment on the
Okay.
on the topics,
Okay.
like whatever you covered till now. You
Correct.
can give us few interview kind of assignments.
Okay. I actually plan to give you some assignments after covering arrays because as of now we have covered very, very basics actually. But after
Hmm.
covering this arrays topic that I wanted to cover,
Yeah,
right?
actually,
Then I
for
wanted to
you,
plan.
these
Yeah.
are very, very basic concepts, but
Correct.
for a few people in the group, they are totally new to the programming
Exactly.
language.
Correct.
So that's why
Right.
I'm asking.
Definitely. So what I'll do is like I'll certainly share an assignment. And yeah, somebody was asking about this code actually. So I forgot to share this code. What I'll do is I'll share both of these files, both of these JavaScript files on the WhatsApp group, right? So that it'll be like a handy reference for you guys, right? And
Okay.
so yes. Any other question, guys? Thank you so much, Seema, for mentioning this.
Yeah, thank
So
you.
yeah. So Alok, maybe Nick, Ganesh, Sana, any questions?
No questions from my side. It's clear. Thank you.
No, I'm good. Piyush.
Perfect. So I think was it you, Ganesh, who told me to speak a little slower, or was it Nick?
No, I think Nick was saying that.
Okay. So I try to keep my pace little slow actually because I'm a fast talker, right? So it is a little hard for me. But yeah. So the only point is like it is not about me. This course is actually for you guys. So as long as you guys are able to understand, I'm good actually. Right? Because my job is to give you even maybe 10 times the value what you're actually paying for this course. Okay. So, in case if you guys have not really registered at this particular moment, I would strongly recommend please get in touch with somebody from Isha Institute. Maybe I think it is Vasvi or maybe whosoever it is you are in touch with, right? Because I think this was our fourth class today, and I'm sure you must have got a fair idea as to how my teaching style is, whether you actually like me as a trainer or not, or whether you like to continue with or not. So, if you like to continue, which is 99% people actually like what I teach, right? So, I would highly recommend in case if you have not enrolled in the course, please do get enrolled, right? Because from Monday onwards, like they are going to create a fresh WhatsApp group with those people who have actually enrolled. So this is our final class, or you can say the final demo class. So Monday onwards, it will be completely, you can say, for those people like who have enrolled. Any questions regarding this?
Yeah, so you are teaching POM model, right? So I had asked you the other day. So I have attended other sessions as well for POM
Okay.
framework, I mean, structure, but in my office we are using hybrid. So
Okay.
I was a little confused because I attended the entire class
Mhm.
earlier, and I was not able to connect properly with, a
Why
hybrid
do we
structure.
use POM and how do we use it? Is that what you're saying?
No, I attended the training previously with who taught with the POM structure, but in my
Okay.
office it's a different structure. It is hybrid.
Okay. What do you mean by
So
hybrid? Because it is a very generic term. If you can elaborate a little.
yeah, so we have scripts, and we have scripts in scripts folder, and we have all the helpers,
Mm-hmm.
like commands. We have commands file where
Mm-hmm.
we add different functions which will just
Okay.
yeah, and in the scripts we just call those functions.
Okay. Okay. So
Yeah, so we
Sana, in
have that
your case,
form.
Okay,
Yeah.
I get it what you're trying to say. See,
Mm.
as I've told you, like I've actually worked in Cyprus for many projects now, for many years. So I have actually worked for different organizations and I've seen code from different people. So everybody have written different kind of code. I won't say one code is right and second code is wrong. No, it's not like that. So see, there can be n number of ways of writing the code. For example, today only I've showed you. Right, so we can either write if and else condition, or we can either go with ternary operator. Right, so there are two ways of doing the same thing. Right. In the case of Cypress, there are n number of ways to do the same thing. So in your case, you are using hybrid POM, but in some cases, people simply go with simple POM option also. Right. In my case, what I'll do is my job is to make you the concept of POM extremely clear to you guys. So that doesn't matter whether you're using only POM or in your case, like you're using hybrid model, wherein you're using helper methods, like you just mentioned, Sana. Right. So doesn't matter what concept your company is actually going with, you should be able to understand code, what code they're actually using in your office, and you should be able to write the code, because now your concepts are clear. That is what my job is. Are you getting me?
Yeah, yeah, got it. Yeah.
Right. So my job is to make you so confident in Cypress that you don't need any job support only. Some people keep on asking me, Piyush, can you give me job support? I ask them, why don't you learn Cypress with me? They say that, no, I just need job support. My, they are not really able to understand. I want to make them so strong and confident in Cypress that they don't require any job support in future. You getting?
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense. Yes. Yeah.
Yes. It is to make people so confident and competent enough that they don't need any job support from anyone. That is what the intention is. Right. So Sana, looks like we haven't, done some, you can say, introduction actually. So yesterday I was talking to other people also. Right. So I guess we didn't had a formal introduction. If you can just properly introduce yourself so that I can get to know you a little better. Are you a manual tester? You're an automation tester or what?
Yeah, actually, I have almost 13 years of experience in testing.
Oh, great.
Yeah, but last 10 years was completely manual.
Okay.
And now from last 3 years, I'm into automation, but there are some other people who are actually writing the tests.
Okay.
And I'm just, I mean, somebody else wrote the framework and I'm just adding small tests for our
Okay.
application. So that's how I am already working on Cypress. But then I wanted to learn JavaScript, like, I wanted to learn the complete how to create the framework from scratch and things like that.
Okay. Okay. That's
Yeah,
good. Right. So see, in your case, when you already have a framework in place, that's the best thing for beginners. Why? Because you already have a framework in place. Otherwise, as a beginner, if you were to create a framework, it would have been very difficult, to be very
exactly.
honest.
Yeah. So
Now,
I
hmm,
and now I am creating a framework for K6 performance. So that's
okay.
why I asked you the other day if you are actually having a course for that one.
Oh,
So
okay. So you were that one like who were actually
yes,
talking on WhatsApp.
yes, yes, yes.
Okay, 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 okay. Right.
So for
That's right.
K6, I need to start creating the framework myself,
Mhm.
which I've already started. But then, yeah, I'm stuck in many places. And I'm learning.
Okay,
So
okay.
yeah,
See, as an IT professional, sometimes it becomes very difficult. Why? Because it becomes so overwhelming that we have to take care of our family. We have to work for 9 hours a day. Then we have to keep on upskilling ourselves. Sometimes in automation
yeah,
testing, one tool and then
exactly.
another tool and then so on.
Yeah,
Right.
you spoke my mind actually. So the thing, why I was very confused whether I have to learn this course, because
Right.
I don't think I have really, time to practice, because 9 hours I work and then 1 hour on this training, and every
Correct.
day I have to practice, and then otherwise the next day, I will not be up to the mark, right? Because only listening
Exactly.
will never help. I know that. So that's why I was really concerned, like, okay, but your teaching skill is very good, and I'm able to actually grasp everything. But I'm
Thanks
really
for this compliment. I
yeah,
hope
but
other people are
really,
listening to it.
yeah. So I'm really concerned if because I know after a few days it's going to be very complex. It's going to be very high level.
Correct.
I'm really worried if I can spend some time on daily basis. So yeah,
Right.
that's why I've not
See,
registered till now. I just wanted to
okay,
see today
I
last.
totally get that, Sana. So, right, if I was at your place, I might have probably done the same. Right, I'm kind of in a decision-making phase. Should I do this or should I do that? Like in if-else conditions, right? That we just learned today. Right. So, see, I totally understand what you are, thinking about. But what I would recommend is like, see, in your case, I know life is very, very tricky at times. It is not a very straightforward journey. Right. Sometimes we just have to take a little bit of, you can say, little leap of faith actually. Right, and then we have to just proceed forward. Right, and of course your journey is not going to be as straightforward because you are spending your 9 hours in the job, then 1 hour of training, you will have to skip some trainings also, and that is also okay. Why? Because you will get these recordings. So don't feel bad, or don't think that, oh, I couldn't attend this particular training of Piyush, and maybe Piyush will say something, or Piyush will judge me. No, my job is not at all to judge you guys. That's the duty of a manager, to judge you. My job is not at all here to judge you. My job is to give you support like an elder brother, right? So I'm not here to judge you. I'm going to teach you the skills what I have, so that you guys do better in your job. Right now, coming to Cypress and JavaScript, right? I'm teaching you JavaScript script from the very scratch, right? And if you are learning, and if you're actually working in Cypress, right, you should know some advanced concepts in JavaScript also. For example, promises. A lot of people, they don't know about promises. I have seen this promises concept in so many YouTube videos. I have actually seen so many YouTube videos, but somehow I just felt that they have not explained it in a better way, and somehow I couldn't understand it properly, right? But after actually watching so many YouTube videos and learning so much of material from the internet, and finally with my own experience, I have come up with a way so that I can teach people better. And when I get such kind of comments, for example, you just mentioned, Sana, your teaching skills are good, right? So it comes with experience. I'm a good teacher now because I was a bad teacher initially. Same concept applies for you. If you are not very good with Cypress, or not very confident with Cypress, that's okay. But if today you are bad, tomorrow you'll definitely be good, because now you are having 13 years of experience. But remember the day when you got started. That time you are not as confident as you are today, right? So it happens with time, right? So don't worry. All I can say is, like, just have a little bit faith in me, and I'm going to teach you both Cypress and JavaScript, and you should be very good. So if you're not yet registered, please do get registered.
Yeah, I'll do that today. Thank you.
Right? I
Piyush,
know
I
some
think
people. Yeah.
somebody
Yeah.
is messaging in a chat. Can you check that
Oh,
chat once?
okay, but the question was for three values, I think. If you have to input else for 4 to 4 time, you just turn it Jmeter. One more example. Can anybody tell Piyush to check chat? Okay. So Nick, exactly, I'm not able to understand what exactly you are saying. If you can elaborate your question a little, I'll be able to answer it. What exactly you're looking out for? Please tell me. I'm here to help. Please unmute yourself, Nick. Hello.
I think he's not able to talk, speak in or on mute, something
Okay.
like that.
He's saying
He
he's
has some
traveling.
issue.
Okay. So Nick, in that case, what I would recommend is, like, you can, whatever is your question, you can drop me a WhatsApp, right? Anyways, you have pinged me your number on WhatsApp, right? So whatever is a query, right? Once you maybe once your travel is over, you can send me a voice note, or you can send me a screenshot, or whatever is your query, and I'll be able to respond to you, right? Don't worry. I will be able to answer your question. Whether it is in training or whether it is outside training, doesn't matter. As long as your query gets answered. Okay. So, but I'm really happy with you guys, because you guys are actually asking me good questions. My previous batch was very quiet. I have to continuously dig and ask them, please ask me questions, please ask me questions. But you guys are actually asking questions. And that is something that is very important. So I want to keep it very, very interactive. It should not be that boring style when I'm just talking and talking and you guys are listening and feeling, oh my God, when is it going to stop? Right. So I think we are good for now. Or any questions before we depart? Yes,
But
Ganesh.
one question, actually,
Yeah,
Piyush.
sure.
As a part of this training, right? How much the projects you are going to cover in this syllabus now?
Okay. So see, it is not about project. It is about concepts. Okay, because if my job is to clear your concepts about everything. For example, I think Sana was mentioning about POM, right? So my job is to clear this POM concept once and for all, so that whether you use Cypress or whether you go with Selenium or maybe Playwright, right, you are not worried at all. Why? Because you know that my concepts are clear about page object model. Now, whether you use this tool or that tool or any other tool hardly matters. Why? Because my concept is clear. So it is not about project, it is about learning the concepts, learning the foundation. And my job is to clear all your foundations, starting with JavaScript and teaching all those concepts in JavaScript that are required from automation point of view. And then once we move on to Cypress, I'll make sure that all your concepts are cleared. And then I have a live application in place that I'll be sharing with you guys, that you can install and host locally on your machine, wherein you can practice whatever concepts
No,
I'm
see,
teaching you.
actually, the concept is another part, and
Right.
can we expect at least one project, end-to-end testing that where we are
Mhm.
doing? I mean,
Yes,
can we
exactly. So
expect
that
at least one project?
Yes, you can call it that project. In my case, what I'm gonna do is like I'll inside this particular application, right? I'll be sharing this kind of an end-to-end test because I'll be teaching you so many concepts in there. I'll be teaching you how to automate different kind of controls. How do we use best practices in Cypress? Because I've seen so many things about Cypress, but unfortunately, not a lot of people are very comfortable talking about the best practices, specifically when it comes to Cypress. That is exactly what I'm going to teach. Right. So it is going to cover projects, what you are actually willing to learn, plus the concepts, what I'm trying to teach you. So it is a kind of mix of both. Hopefully, I'll be able to satisfy your expectations. And I'm very
Yeah, yeah,
confident
yeah.
of that.
That's fine. That's fine. And one
Right.
more thing, actually, are we going to integrate any kind of tool like CI/CD or something like during our project execution or something like?
Yes. I'll be talking about scripts, right? How do we
Mm.
use these external scripts and how do we execute them through command line? And I'll also be showing you live basically how do we use Jenkins, because Jenkins is something that is very commonly used, CI/CD, right?
Okay, okay, got it.
Yes, and I'll be showing you how to do it locally on your machine. In most of the office work, it is usually installed by the DevOps team. We don't get actually a chance to actually install it ourselves, right? Because in office nowadays, we have either a DevOps team or a CloudOps team or something like that. But I'll show you how to do it yourself.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
Yes. Any other questions? No? Perfect. So I'll see you guys on Monday, and please do get yourself enrolled if you have not enrolled already. Right. So looking forward to see you guys, and trust me, I'm going to make it very, very simple and good and learning and enjoyable experience for you guys. So I'll see you then. Take care. Bye bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye bye.
Okay.